Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you already know that the title of tonight's show is The Payoff. And that is because this seems to be a year when we have a lot of grand trines, because we have another one this week. And the grand trine this week is in the practical, realistic, hardworking earth signs. And one of those signs is a fixed financial sign. That's why I think there's going to be a payoff this week. It'll be a particular kind of payoff, though, so I'll explain that to you after I describe the way the grand trine is so beautifully set up. We have Jupiter in Taurus right now, as I said, a fixed financial earth sign. And later on in the sign are the exalted moon in Taurus at 20 degrees, and it is conjuncting Uranus, that planet of volatility and sudden surprising change, at 22 degrees of Taurus. So they're tightly conjunct. And then these three planets are also being trined by Mars, which has just moved into Virgo. And Virgo, it's at 1 degree in Virgo, and Virgo is a hardworking earth sign, particularly noted for finishing things and for occupations which are of service to others. And also Virgo rules our health, not only our physical health, but our mental health, because it's a mental sign ruled by Mercury. These four planets, the three in Taurus and Mars in Virgo, are all being trined by a powerful Pluto in Capricorn. But Pluto is the only retrograde planet among these Earth signs, and it is retrograde at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Well, Capricorn rules your 10th house of career, and it rules your public reputation. And so this payoff has got something to do with your public life or your career in one way or another. And yet it's going to be a particular kind of payoff. So it's not anything like winning the lottery. It's going to be a career-ending payoff. And there will be no love lost when that happens. Now, it could be something that is career-ending because somebody is finally retiring. Well, there's no love lost there because they're looking forward to that. And, you know, it's sort of nice not to have to get up every morning and go to work. So yes, it could be a career-ending payoff. Maybe they've been working a long time for that pension or their retirement fund. And so it can be career-ending, and there would be no love lost because they're ready to go and wanting their freedom and certainly eager to sort of take the money and run. But there are also other kinds of ways that you can be career-ending. It can be, since I think this is related to a career, and since Pluto is retrograde, it means that some sort of payoff should have happened before. Because when planets go retrograde, they go back over the same orbit that they've already been on, and it's sort of like they play catch-up. They do things that were left undone, or they find new information that had not been revealed before. And so then when they go direct, things really do work out better. So this is a payoff that is career-ending because Pluto is at the 29th degree of fate in a sign that rules careers, and it's something that should have happened before. But the reason why there would be no love lost is because the three planets in Taurus, Jupiter, Uranus, and the exalted moon, are all being squared by two other planets in Leo. And they are Venus, which is moving up now close to the end of Leo. It's at 27 degrees. And Mercury is also in Leo, and it has just come into Leo. And so these two planets in Leo are squaring those three good planets in Taurus. However, that isn't going to stop the payoff. It just means that for various reasons, there can be no love lost when somebody does get a payout. But you don't have to feel sorry for them. They're a person that was in it for the money anyway, and they're going to get some. I mean, in a way, I hope that's you. But there is another way to end, to have a career end, and it can be, particularly in times that are tough economic times, it can simply be that companies have to downsize, or, they have to lay off people. Or it can be that somebody in a high position, and that's what Pluto represents, was perhaps not performing up to their expectations, and they didn't fulfill the goals that they were supposed to fulfill, and so they could have a very good payoff in the form of a severance package. And once again, no love lost. They don't care. They're going to get the money anyway, and they'll just sort of be out of there. So anyway, what that means is that someone's moving on, and it's someone at a fairly high level, and they're moving on, and they're not looking back because they're eager to start new things. And why is that? Because Uranus is in Taurus, and the exalted moon is conjuncting it today. That's really good. But Uranus rules freedom, and it rules sudden surprising change. And so someone, because there's no love lost where they are, in other words, it's okay with them if they move on, they could find that their popularity has eroded a little bit. And the reason why, as they have their freedom and they go out and meet new people and try to do new things, and they'd have the money to do it too, so that's great, they could find that their popularity had eroded in one way or another, or for various reasons, and that as they meet new people or even greet older people, their reception could be somewhat lukewarm or even uninviting. And why would that be? It's because blatant greed is something that people catch on to after a while. In other words, somebody who had been riding someone else's coattails, or really not living up to expectations, or just plain greedy and wanting as much as they could get their hands on, but not doing too much in return. There's an old saying, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And so the public isn't quite buying the hype or the image that whoever's getting the payoff has projected. And that's why there can be no love lost. It's the public that's not buying their hype anymore. So I don't think they care about that, but that's what's happening. And so it is possible now that if someone is getting a payoff that is career ending for one reason or another, and they are moving on, and there's no love lost on either side, it simply means there could be a lot of people right now who are very quietly inside of themselves saying good riddance and meaning it. And so it isn't as if they were going to voice their feelings outwardly, but there could be quite a few people saying good riddance. And they could have their own reasons for doing that. The person who's getting the payoff doesn't care because they're going to get the payoff anyway, and for one reason or another. And they probably are really looking forward to their freedom and to going off and starting new things. And also they could afford it. So don't feel bad for anybody that's getting a payoff, no matter what the reason is for getting it. So I think they've got a bright financial future ahead of them because of this grand trine in the earth signs. Okay, what does that mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, there are the 3 planets in Taurus, which are Jupiter and the exalted moon and Uranus, are right ahead of your sun sign, Aries. And so you could be able to lay your hands on a little more money right now. It could be either because you're selling a high-priced investment, even some real estate, because Taurus does rule high-priced real estate and commercial real estate, or you can be just deciding that you want to make an investment in something pretty expensive that you think will go up and be worth even more. Excuse me. We have a lot of wildfires around here, and smoke gets in everywhere. So I'm sorry if I'm going to cough a little bit. But anyway, Aries, Venus and Mercury and Leo are trining your sun. And so you're going to be able to get some good news about an interesting proposition, and maybe you're going to feel like investing in it. Or it can be that you are at a time in your life when you're thinking a little bit more about your health. Remember, Mars is in Virgo now. It's not particularly happy in Virgo because Virgo is a very deliberative sign and a quiet, sort of unassuming, wants to follow every single step until they get something accomplished type of sign, very steady. But because Virgo rules our health physically and mentally, and Mars is there now, trining all the planets in Scorpio, it's actually under pretty good aspects. But Mars in Virgo by itself, which is your ruler, Aries, is an indication that people have to watch their health a lot more closely now. And that's because there could be hidden problems coming up. And some of the problems could be coming up because we sometimes can notice a little something going wrong in our health, but we can choose to ignore it. I mean, that's sort of human nature, to ignore it. And that would be unwise right now, because Mars in Virgo is being opposed by Saturn, another malefic planet in Pisces, and by Neptune in Pisces as well. And both Neptune and Saturn are retrograde right now. So some malady that you may have sort of sloughed off and sort of ignored could come up to greet you, Aries, and you would need to really pay attention a little bit more to your health if you can, because if you just stop and really pay attention to your health right now, I think that you would probably come out of that okay. Not only improving your health, but also you would have the time to sort of slow down and look at your finances a little bit more and probably improve them too. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. Well, Taurus, there's definitely going to be a payoff, and it's going to be career ending, and there's going to be no love lost. But the story really does have a happy ending because whoever's getting the payoff is okay with that. They're ready to be free. They're ready to move on. And so they're not, they might be nostalgic, but not to the point where it's going to stop them. They're just going to go ahead and move on. Well, since these three good planets, Jupiter, which is going to stay in your sign for about a year, Taurus, lucky you, and the exalted moon and Uranus are in your sign, being beautifully backed up by Mars in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn. I think that Taurus, if you get a payoff now, you'll be happy about it. Jupiter is a planet of happiness. And if it isn't a financial payoff in one way or another, it could be something that involves an expensive piece of real estate. Maybe you own something and you're going to be able to sell it at a good price. Well, that would be a payoff, because you would have put your time and effort into it. And so one way or another, Taurus, I think that you are getting some sort of a payoff. Now, there would be no love lost, though, and that is, so it would indicate that either you or someone else is very ready to move on. And that is because Venus and Mercury and Leo are squaring your sun, where you have the three planets. But nothing beats a grand trine. And for all of the earth signs who are very practical and realistic, this could be pretty good for them. And so, Taurus, my hat's off to you. I think if you're about to turn a corner and go in a new direction, you're probably pretty eager about it. And there's no love lost because you want your freedom, or you want to be able to move on to something new. And I think you're going to be able to do that. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Well, once again, Gemini, this week there are no planets in the air signs. And so it's almost like you can take a time out, Gemini. Not quite, but almost like that. Because maybe this is a better time for you just to catch up on little things that haven't gotten done that you need to do. Some of them could be on a deadline, so you really have to make sure you got things in at the right time, or before the deadline would be better. But also, this is a time when planets are building up in the mutable signs. And Gemini, yours is a mutable sign. So is Virgo, so is Sagittarius, and so is Pisces. And so now that Mars has moved into Virgo, it is squaring your sun. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are also squaring your sun. And that means that there's something around, and it might be behind the scenes, or some wish or hope or dream of yours that you've been kidding yourself about. And instead, and it could relate to a health matter. And the reason why is that Mars is a malefic planet. Well, so is Saturn, and they're coming head to head. And they are squaring not only your sign, but Sagittarius as well. And so that means that the mutable signs, which are always rather easygoing and, very adaptable and very flexible, there's going to be some problem coming up, Gemini, that you absolutely have to face. Now, I would think that you don't want to face it. And yet, it's like time is pushing on you a little bit. And there's something where you've got to really pay attention to it. It's either a health matter or it's something behind the scenes that you haven't been telling people about, but gee, you gotta look at that and handle it in one way or another. And it could have been around for a while, but you've got to sort of conclude it, or at least deal with it in one way or another. And then it's also possible that that something you've been sort of overlooking, or maybe you've been saying to yourself, well, I'll get to that problem someday, but not right now. Maybe you better take another look at some little problem, Gemini, and really resolve it. End it one way or another. Because these two malefic planets, Mars in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces, are not going anywhere. They're going to be squaring your sun and the Sagittarian sun for a while. I mean, Saturn's going to be in Pisces for a couple of years. And so, if I were you, I would try to think about turning over a new leaf. And it might be that you want to cut out some things that you've grown very used to in your life. But either you've outgrown them or they've outgrown you, one or the other. And it's time to sort of part ways with something from your past, or a situation, or a former employer, or a company that you worked for, or something from your past. Geminis are so youthful, they always look younger than they are, and forward-looking, that maybe you haven't realized at this time, when there's no planets in air signs, that you could clean house a little bit, and if nothing, wipe the cobwebs out of your mind that are dealing with the past, because nothing's going to change what happened in the past, so you may as well let it go. And on top of that, it'll make you feel lighter and even younger. So you should go for that, Gemini. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time, Cancer, when you can be glad, in fact, thanking your lucky stars, that the sun in your sign is trining Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. They are both retrograde now, but this trine is very good. And it simply means for you, Cancer, that since both planets are retrograde in Pisces now, that you should go back to an old dream, or you should look behind the veil at something that you suspect has been getting done that people don't want you to see. And, maybe you should do a little detective work and take a look around, particularly at anybody that you're the least suspicious about. Because you could have, Cancers are very sensitive. They can sort of feel what's inside of a person without having a conversation with them. And so if you've had feelings of doubt about whether someone was credible or honest, you need to look at their results and go a little bit more by facts and results right now, Cancer. And that could clear up some things that had been going on behind the scenes that were a little bit treacherous, and you could sort of help dispel them or get rid of that. And remember that whenever planets are in Taurus, they sextile your sun. And so Jupiter, the exalted moon, and Uranus are all in Taurus sextiling your sun, where you have the sun. And so you could be associated, or else you could be the recipient of a payoff, Cancer. This would be sort of a lucky time for you. Cancers are not really gamblers. Their tastes are always situated around their home or their family. But this is a time when I think that if you were going to do anything, it would be to sort of make sure that people who are saying that they're sincere have a way of proving it. And look for the proof. And stop listening to the hype. Because somebody could be talking and saying, oh, I'm a wonderful person, and look at all the wonderful things I've done. And, you know, you should just look at the results. Not whatever they're saying, but just look at the facts. And that could help clear up some deceit or subterfuge behind the scenes that had been going on for quite a while. And you would be able to perhaps see that better now, Cancer, because Neptune and Saturn are retrograde. You know, retrograde planets are going back in their orbit, and they're picking up more information and sort of finding out what they missed. And you could do that too, Cancer. And that would probably be a good idea. Because if you're around people that are being deceitful and you have any financial dealings with them at all, you're really going to have to check and ask yourself if those people are worth it. Because if they're not, even if it costs you something to give them a payoff and say goodbye, you should do it, Cancer. Because Cancers like to sleep well at night. They don't like to have to worry about a lot of things. And so, you know, if there's something phony going on behind the scenes, take a look at it now while the sun is in your sign, Cancer, and draw your own conclusions. But they should not be based on what people are saying. They should be based on what they've done. So good luck on that. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when there can be a payoff, and it would be career ending. That would not break your heart at all, because you still have Venus, and now you have Mercury as well in your sign. And that means you can be thinking wonderfully about what you would do with some money if you did get it. And you may wanting to eagerly move on. And you can, Leo, you can. Venus is a good planet. It's been in your sign for a long time. It's at 27 degrees now. It's about to leave. And because Mars is only at one degree of Virgo, Venus at 27 degrees of Leo is within a 4-degree orb of Mars, which means they are still conjuncting. And so that simply means that there can be some controversy that you've been going through for a while, and it could be something that could be disillusioning or disruptive for you. And if Leos feel like they ought to do something, they're a fire sign. They can get in there and charge and do it. But this is a time for a payoff, which is career ending, and there is no love lost. You could be associated with that, Leo. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be animosity. It can simply be that whoever's getting the payoff is fine with that because they can go on to something new. And that could be you as well. And so, Leo, I don't think you're going to be hurting for money. Even if you were in a controversy and arguing about money and thinking that there's more of it that you should get, you may not get it. But so you may not get what you want, Leo, but you probably would get something. And money's money. You'd also be getting a sense of freedom to start new things and make new friends. And that would be pretty nice for you, Leo. Because Mars just left your sign. And so it's sort of marching on through Virgo. And that means that we all have to watch our health a lot more. So maybe this is a good time for you to move on And one of the number one things on your new agenda should be closer attention to your health. And so this is a good time to do that. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time, Virgo, when I think you're going to worry a little bit more. And the reason why is your sign rules worry. And Virgos are really good at that. Virgos sort of get up in the morning and look for something to worry about. And this is because, Virgo, you are such a good problem solver, that you are very alert to the problems around you. And generally, when you're looking at a problem that nobody else is even talking about, you're already working and on the solution to the problem. That's, yours is a mental sign. So there's a lot going on in your head all the time, Virgo. And now that Mars is in your sign, you will have to watch your health much more closely, because Mars makes people aggressive. It makes them easily angered. It makes them overdo things. And where's that going to get you, Virgo? That's not the way to make friends. And so you're going to have to, at times when you want to say something, and generally Virgos don't insist that they're right until they've checked the facts. And then if they've checked the facts, they don't even feel like arguing. They know what the facts are. They're going to stick to them. But if you are in any kind of controversy where there's got to be some give and take right now, you're going to have to work on that a little bit harder. And the reason why is that everybody has dreams, and you may have had some dream or some knowledge of things going on behind the scenes that will not remain covered up. They're coming out. And that's because Mars, even though it's in early Virgo, it is opposing Saturn. And these are two malefic planets coming head to head. And Mars is only at 1 degree of Virgo, and Saturn is at 7 degrees. But Mars is moving up to an exact opposition to Saturn. So something that sort of hasn't been going right, I hope you don't overreact to it, Virgo. I don't think overdoing anything is going to get you anywhere right now. It could even make you sick. So don't do that. And just remember that Mars in your sign is part of a grand trine in Earth signs. We don't have that many grand trines around, but particularly not in Earth signs. And so this is a time when you should be looking at very practical, factual matters. Financial matters, that would be represented by Taurus, so your investments. Career matters that have to do with your retirement, that's Pluto in Capricorn, because Capricorn rules retirement. And health issues, which is what your sign rules. So, we all like to stop and have fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are times when you should take advantage of this grand trine in Earth signs and really get to the bottom of problems, because you really are an excellent problem solver. And just iron things out if you can, or resolve them in one way or another. And particularly if something has been deceptive or hidden behind the scenes, if you've been hiding anything behind the scenes, it's going to come out. And it'll happen right about when Mars is at 7 degrees of Virgo, exactly opposing Saturn. I mean, try to take it easy that day, Virgo. But for right now, with this grand trine in Earth signs, you should be really working hard on resolving issues and solving problems and watching your investments. And because you could excel right now if you wanted to. But if you want to get into overreacting or being angry at people, that's going to really set you back. So don't do that. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, once again, just like last week, there are no planets in the air signs right now. So what you are probably concerned with right now, Libra, is it could be things around your home that that are sort of cluttering up the place. In other words, you don't really use them anymore. You're very fond of them though, but they're just gathering dust. And this is a very good time, and that's because the sun in Cancer is squaring your sun. And so this is a very good time for you to sort of face the truth, Libra, about, your future. And the reason why you have to look more toward the future and a lot less toward the past is because that's the direction you're headed into. Pluto is at the 29th degree of fate in Capricorn, and it is squaring your sun sign. There is a career issue in your life, Libra, that needs to be resolved, or a retirement issue, or some issue that has to do with business or even investments, but something that should have happened before needs to be resolved. And so, you sort of need to face facts. And the reason why that's important is because Pluto is squaring your sun, and the sun in Cancer is also squaring your sun, and there are no planets in air signs. And so it's sort of this is a period when you might say that you would have a moment of revelation. You'd be able to face the truth. And it's got to be about your future, not your past. And the reason why is that Pluto only has 1 degree to move before it zooms into Aquarius and stays there. And Aquarius rules the future, and it's going to be in Aquarius for decades. And so that's when it's in Aquarius, it will trine your sun for decades, and the Gemini sun. And it'll certainly benefit Aquarius. That's why, since Aquarius rules the future, and that's the direction Pluto is about to go in, I think it enters Aquarius in January. I'll check on that. So you've got to face the future, Libra. And if you're still fighting battles from yesterday, end them. Just end them. Because for one thing, they could sap your strength, and they could draw up all kinds of unpleasant memories that are only associated with your past. They're not associated with your future. And so, do you see what I mean? This is a good time, or certainly a better time, for you to look around and say, what are things that represent my past? Do I really need those anymore? The answer might be no, Libra. Maybe you should do some donating to charity or something. And even if that leaves you a little bit empty for a while, that's okay. You've got a future. The future will repay you handsomely for being honest now about living in the past, because you won't be able to do that anymore. And I think that you're going to be surprised how good that feels. You're heading for tomorrow, Libra. There isn't any way to stop it either. So I think you should put a smile on your face and go forward. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time, Scorpio, when you can be challenged by the fact that there are 5 planets in fixed signs. Now, there have been 5 planets in fixed signs for weeks, and that represents severe challenges. Last week they were in 3 different signs, 2 weeks ago they were in 3 different signs, including both financial signs. That would have set off some sparks in your life, or fireworks. But right now, Scorpio, the sun in Cancer is trining your sun, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which are both retrograde now, are also trining your sun. So you can resolve a home or a family issue very well right now. And you can also make an old dream come true. And it's possible that you are looking with fresh eyes at an old dream. And since you are looking at that old dream, which you've had for a long time, Scorpio, you can be seeing it with fresh eyes. And these fresh eyes would be centered on the future, not the past. And so, if you wake up one morning and you're just looking at tomorrow, you're in exactly the right direction. And you could be a little disillusioned about what you find out about things behind the scenes. But the way to get over that is to move on. And you can do it. Because the sun, Saturn, and Neptune are all trining your sun, which is good. On the other hand, it doesn't mean all your problems are solved, but it means they've got to be solved. And that's because Venus and Mercury in Leo are squaring your sun, and all three planets in Taurus, Jupiter, the exalted moon, and Uranus, are opposing your sun. There's still almost like a deadlock argument or controversy about money. This could also be about high-priced real estate, or it could be about investments. And somewhere in your life, Scorpio, there's going to be a payoff. I'm not so certain that you're getting the payoff. You might be the one giving the payoff. Who knows? But you're going to be involved in something where there is a career-ending payoff, and there will be no love lost. Remember, Venus and Mercury in Leo are squaring your sun, and no love lost. Now, that doesn't mean that there's something really destructive going on. It means that there could have been challenges and arguments about money or investments for weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe even years. And you generally have always been unhappy about that. And this is a time when you can go behind the scenes, learn a little bit more truth, and you can just decide, okay, maybe it's just better to settle, or maybe it's just better to pay them off and get rid of them. And you'd be right about that, because I don't think that you can have a good future unless you resolve an issue from the past, even if it makes you mad. In business, when there is a loss in a company, they could try everything in the world to fix it, which they'd like to do, so they can stay in business. But sooner or later, if nothing works, the business is going to just write it off. End it and write it off. And businesses can take write-offs. But continual arguing, that isn't good for anybody. Not anybody, particularly now that Mars is in Virgo, which rules our health. And so, Scorpio, you have to stand up for yourself, which I think you have been doing. But the important thing is to realize that tomorrow is coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so, you need to go forward. While the sun is trining your sun, while Saturn and Neptune are trining your sun, making an old dream come true? Well, it's got to be an old dream that involves your future, not your past, Scorpio. And you have to realize that. And if you're going to sort of like vote for your future right now, it may cost you a little something in a payoff to end something. And there would be no love lost. But there would be an extreme amount of relief on your part, because you wouldn't have to deal with that problem anymore. And that's what's been holding you back from your future. And the future's calling everyone, Scorpio, including you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, Venus and Mercury are in Leo, and they are trining your sun. You might get some good news, either from people around you or from people who live a very long distance away. But the news would be good, Sagittarius. And I think that you'd be really happy about that. And the reason why it would be good is because Mercury has just come into Leo, and Venus is just at the end of Leo. If you get some good news, you should respond immediately, Sagittarius, because Venus only has 3 more degrees to go before it's out of Leo and no longer trining your sun. So if you get some good news, act on it immediately, Sagittarius. I think it would be good news. And also, Sagittarius, you could be sort of restless right now. Yours is a very restless sign. And it rules travel, and because it's an intellectual sign, ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the earth signs, it's in Taurus, part of a grand trine, there is a possibility that you can be involved in some real estate matter, but it would be sort of high-priced, or in a long distance travel, but it could be sort of done nicely. You'd like that. Or in higher education in one way or another, and the news would be good. So I think you're coming into a sort of a good news week, Sagittarius, and at the same time there are some little things sort of on the periphery of your happiness, and you cannot discount them. And the reason why is that yours is a mutable sign. So Mars in Virgo is now squaring your sun, which means you've really got to watch your health and your bookwork. You've got to go over the bookwork a lot more closely. Virgo rules accounting. And then Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which are both retrograde now, are also squaring your sun. See, there's challenges building up in the mutable signs now. And mutable signs are generally so agreeable. They don't like challenges. But Sagittarius, you may be facing a challenge about your health, or a challenge about something that's been going on behind the scenes for a while that you have to look closely at and probably draw a conclusion about that. That once you draw the conclusion about what's been going on behind the scenes and sort of sum them all up and to make a decision about what you want to do, that's when you're going to be free to go forward. And this is a good time to really be thinking about forward motion with you, Sagittarius. So if you want to advance, then you're going to need to make a decision about sort of things that you don't usually look at, but you've got to not only look at them, you've got to resolve them, because they're not going to go away unless you do. But the good news, I think that's headed your way. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Oh, Capricorn. This is a time, Capricorn, that your sign has Pluto, a planet that represents powerful people, sort of like in upper management, or in government, or in large corporations or institutions. And that Pluto is retrograde at 29 degrees in your sign. So something that should have happened before might be on the horizon now, Capricorn. And let me tell you, it would be good. And the reason why it would be good is because Mars in Virgo is trining that Pluto in your sign. And Mars and Pluto are the rulers of Scorpio. And they're in good aspect to each other right now. And that means that some people that had been waiting a long time for a payoff could get one. So maybe there's some money sitting around that you could finally get your hands on, Capricorn. Wouldn't that be nice? But it's possible, because Pluto in your sign and Mars in Virgo are both being trined beautifully by Jupiter, the exalted moon, and Uranus in Taurus. So I think there's money coming your way, Capricorn. Or if you have money, you're sort of thinking of wise ways to invest it or spend it or save it or whatever. But you could put a pencil to something and work on your budget a little bit harder right now, Capricorn, and be very pleased with the results. And so this grand trine in Earth signs is really going to do you a lot of good. And so you will profit from that. You will benefit from that in one way or another. Even if you're just using your own money, but in a new way, it could be sort of a payoff for you. It could, if you were investing your money, the earnings could be pretty good. And so take a look at your bookwork and take a look at the possibility of some sort of payoff coming your way. And it could have something to do with retirement or with some sort of investment paying off. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Oh, well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, that there can be a payoff, which is career ending, and there's no love lost, because whoever's getting the payoff is going to take the money and run. And they're happy to do that, because they want their freedom. They want to go ahead. But, perhaps they just rode somebody's coattails. And maybe somebody got so tired of that they finally just paid them off to get rid of them. Well, that's not a bad idea. And that could be happening somewhere in your life, Aquarius, because there are 5 planets in the fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. So Venus and Mercury in Leo are opposing your sign, and Jupiter, the exalted moon, and Uranus in Taurus are squaring your sign. So there is a sort of a future dream or a future plan of yours that isn't going to quite work out the way you thought it would. And there are no planets in air signs. So if I were you, I'd be a little bit careful about signing on the dotted line right now, Aquarius. Either you would be paying too much for something, or else you would think that you were paying a certain amount that you can afford, and then you'd get the bad news in a little while that, oh, there's a lot more fees connected with that. And if you don't find that out until after you've already signed something, you're the one that could be out the money or have to pay more money. So you have to be real careful. You should be watching your taxes. And I know that next year's taxes aren't due yet, but you should be thinking about how to handle any kind of an investment right now. Sometimes it's good to sell one, but sometimes it's better to hold it. And so you're going to have to sort of look at all of that right now in the light of what it will cost you in taxes to do something, because you could be a little bit threatened by that. On the other hand, if you were thinking of taking your money out of one thing because it's earning a certain amount and putting it into something else that was earning more, that's a good idea. And why is that such a good idea? Because your sign rules the future, and Pluto is coming into your sign right after the first of the year. And you might want some money to start your own business. Or you might want to go in a brand new direction and have the money to do it. So now is the time for you to be thinking a little bit more long range about not only your expenses, but also about how that fits into your future plans. So you can do all that even if there are no planets in air signs, because you can do a lot of good thinking right now, Aquarius, but putting a pencil to something and seeing if it adds up, or getting wise advice from people, this is a time when you should be sort of investigating the possibilities. But they are possibilities for your future, not your past. And you could sort of quietly work out some nice plans right now for your future, if you wanted to. And I think that that is sort of a safe thing to be doing right now, Aquarius, because in a way no one can see you doing it. And that could be for your own protection. So go ahead and work on your problems, but maybe be a little quiet about it right now, because you have to prepare for the future, Aquarius. So if you have some ties that are dragging you back to your past, this is the time to say goodbye, because the future really is calling you. And boy, am I not kidding. Pluto was only discovered in 1930. And in our knowledge, since then, or in our lifetimes, it's never been in Aquarius. But it's going into your sign, Aquarius. That's going to change your life. And I think powerfully for the better, particularly in 2 years, when Uranus goes into Gemini and trines that Pluto. Watch out, world. And you want to be ready for that. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when I think that you might have been kidding yourself about something. And, your sign rules dreams. It's always nice to live in a dream because everything's perfect in the dream, right? So that's great. But our dreams have got to come down to earth now, particularly yours, Pisces, because Mars has just entered Virgo. It's only at 1 degree, but it's opposing Saturn and Neptune now in your sign. And these are the 3 planets that are in the mutable signs, in harsh opposition to each other. And the Sun in Cancer is still trining your Sun, though. You can be thinking about your home, or you can be thinking about a new home, possibly making a move, or having someone come to live with you. All of that would be very positive. Okay, it has to do with your future and your future happiness, which is great. But on the other hand, if you have been ignoring or shrugging off any little health problem at all, you'll pay dearly for that. And right about now, certainly coming right up. And that is because Mars is in Virgo. Virgo rules the whole healthcare field. And it rules our health, particularly the central nervous system. And we all have to take much better care of our health. Well, Pisces, don't think about that too much. But it's going to come up to bite you if you don't think about it, Pisces. And so this is a time when you might just decide, okay, I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to lose some weight, I'm going to change some of my social habits in order to do more constructive things, and all of that would be a good idea, Pisces. So just think that you have a lot to look forward to. And the sun is trining your sun. And so that is just giving you an amazing amount of backup. You might be surprised, Pisces, that there are more people in your corner than you realize. And the outstanding characteristic that they would all share, and which is why they like you, is because they have caring in their hearts. You know, they're not like somebody who's going to get a payoff because they were riding somebody's coattails and the only way to get rid of them is to do a payoff. They're not like that. The people that really care about you, they're sort of homey, and they're nice, and they have kindness in the bottom of their hearts, and so do you, Pisces. And Pisces get along with everybody. But now that Mars is opposing your sun sign, and particularly Saturn, which is another malefic planet in your sun sign, and your ruler is retrograde along with Saturn, you need to do a little sorting out among your relationships, and keep the ones that love you, Pisces, and throw away the ones that use you. They're not worthy of you. So let them go. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on my website, Karen Campbell, the Karen Campbell YouTube website. Let me start over. You can see the show on my website, STARBORNinstitute.org, and then you can read the blog there, which explains the theme of the show a little bit better each week. Or you can subscribe to my Karen Campbell YouTube channel, which I would like you to do, and tell your friends about it too. And that way I'll be happy to send you the show on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. And until next week, I'll be seeing you, and thanks a lot. Bye.